Just a yes or no, I'd appreciate it. I may have additional written questions, but concise answers would help me here. You received a letter from me and 42 senators regarding obscenity enforcement. This included half the members of this committee on both sides of the aisle. And we're focusing on adult obscenity. We know you're at least trying to do something on child obscenity, but we're talking about adult obscenity as well. What is sometimes called as hardcore pornography. Now, this is a separate category of material that's different from child pornography or child exploitation, which is very important to me, too. This material is toxic. It's illegal, and laws against it have not been enforced for a long time. In our letter, we urge you to study the information and research about the harms of such hardcore pornography that is available through resources such as the Clearinghouse website, pornographyharms.com. Now, I don't expect that you personally did that, but did you at least assign someone to review the evidence collected there as we asked?
We have, as you know, conflated the what was the obscenity task force into the child exploitation and obscenity section, and at this point, since we have been in office, 7 obscenity cases have been brought that involve only adult pornography. This is of the 150 cases that we have brought involving pornography in total, most of which involve child exploitation, but as I said, 7 of those cases have involved adult pornography.
Okay, I raised the issue of obscenity enforcement in the confirmation hearing before this committee for Lanny Brewer, who now heads the department's criminal division. In his answers to my written questions, Mr. Brewer wrote that, quote, I believe that sexually explicit material can be harmful to individuals, families, and communities, unquote. I'm sure you agree with that.
Yes.
The research I referred to earlier, as well as the testimony of activists on the ground, reveals a growing connection between hardcore pornography and sex trafficking. I think you would agree that there is such a connection.
I believe there is.
Okay. That research, including work by Dr. Sharon Cooper at the University of North Carolina, shows how hardcore adult pornography normalizes sexual harm to children. I think you'd agree with that.
Sure, and that's one of the reasons why we are as vigilant as we are in bringing those kinds of cases.
Okay. Do you believe that hardcore pornography relates to domestic violence?
I'll be honest, I just don't know. I don't know about the research in that area.
I can tell you it does.
Okay.
And it's a big problem in our society. Did you know that the American Psychiatric Association recently added to its diagnostic manual a disorder that includes pornography addiction?
I was not aware of that, but I've seen reports of that in some cases that I'm familiar with, but I was not aware of the American Psychiatric Institute.
Now, would you send us, be kind enough to have your people send us the 7 cases, or a description of the 7 cases? Because I think you need to do a lot more. We're getting a wash with this stuff, and it's really terrible as far as I'm concerned. We received a response to the letter that many of us signed from Ron Weiss, I think that's the way you pronounce the name, who heads the Office of Legislative Affairs. It said that the department has charged violations of the federal obscenity statute, but when my staff discussed this last week with OLA staff, they could not say which of those involved adult material or were unrelated to child pornography or child exploitation, and that's one of the things that I'm concerned about. So I just want you to look into it. It means a lot to me, and I think I'm sure it means a lot to you as well.
Yeah, we're trying to unpack those numbers. We have, I said, this is the overall number, and we're trying to come up with a way in which we can determine which of those 150 cases involve only adult matter. And as I said, at this point, we've identified 7.
Okay. Well, I think that's important. It's a big deal to me. In about 2005, because the child exploitation and obscenity section was doing so little to prosecute adult obscenity, in our view anyway, the department created the Obscenity Prosecution Task Force to focus specifically on that. Now, my understanding is you dismantled that task force as a separate entity and incorporated its work back into the very section that had produced so little in this area in the first place, at least in our view. Again, that looks to me like the department simply doesn't give enough consideration to adult obscenity and may not consider it to be a big deal. Just please look into it for me, will you?
Okay. Well, as I said, we have reincorporated them. It doesn't mean that we are turning our backs on that issue. As I looked at it, the numbers from 2005 to 2010, that task force brought, our numbers say about 15 cases. Since we've made that change, we've brought, as I said, 7. So I think that the process that we have in place, the organizational structure that we have in place is, I think, an effective one. But we're always looking to make it better.
Okay, and if you'd have your folks send us some of the prosecutors and personnel you have working on these cases, I'd appreciate that.